Guys, hey Andy.
Hey Scott, how you doing? Thanks for the intro. And hey Jamie, what's happening?
Andy, Thursday greetings. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. And thanks Steve for coming in and stopping by and helping out. So let's get moving. We have a lot of stuff to cover today. 61 trades today by Holly, and we're going to go over every one of them. Now, we're not going to do that, but anyways, a lot of good content to go over, especially in our artificial intelligence that we are so proud of, and for every reason should be Holly. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. But before we get started, let's get on with our disclaimer here. Guys, we are content providers, okay? This webinar is for educational purposes only. Anything that you hear or see here today is not to be construed as investment advice. And if that is what you're seeking, seek out a professional, a licensed broker. So moving right along, guys, let's go over, I want to talk a little bit, guys, how we don't turn you loose with all the power of Holly. I mean, it is a very powerful software. You can get incredible data, scans, alerts, top lists. There's so many things, not to mention the Holly AI. But we just don't give you the keys to the Ferrari, you know, without helping you out along the way and teaching you how to drive it. And we pride ourselves on our customer service, and it's much more than just customer service. It's continued education, and it all starts right there in the trading room, daily moderated by Barry. Barry does a great job. That's what you're seeing here on the screen is a screenshot basically of his platform, his what he uses, and what you see when you go to the trading room. It's an incredible education, and like I said, you're not alone. You go in there, there's going to be about 500 plus traders in there. Many of them are really good traders, you know, all using the or most of them using the product. And so anyway, great place to start, guys. Just getting that trading room, and you're going to learn a lot about the product, and you're going to learn a lot about trading. So, and then on Monday, we have our office hours with Jamie and Steve, which are both here today. They always have great stuff to present to you, and it's always a good turnout and always an incredible webinar. On Wednesdays, we have Dan Merkin, the CEO, making an appearance with Brad Williams, one of the managing partners, and they usually discuss. They take a lot of questions and answers. They go over the alerts. They go over Holly, like many of us do, but they also take a lot of Q&A. So it's a good place to go in there if you have any questions about Holly, the AI, and how it operates and how it functions. That's a great place to stop in and ask questions. And then Steve has his Trade of the Week webinar, which is not appearing on this. Because that is one you have to sign up for, but it is on Wednesday evenings at 4:30 Pacific time. And then our webinar today is the last one of the week. We like to get you going out with a bang, so Jamie and I are going to get started here. And the first thing we're going to do is go through our agenda. And today we always go with the market recap first, and interesting action today. We'll have some things to say about the downside movement in the market and the potential that it has maybe the next couple of days to break up some very important support lines, and we'll discuss that. And then before we go into the Holly recap, I'm going to talk a little bit of things that I saw today in Holly, and I call it the Holly Hedge, which is very interesting. I'll show you some of the trades that were triggering in the early morning, and how it was amazing. It was like she was putting on hedges. So we'll go into that. Then I'm going to talk about how Holly was in scalping mode today. She just with our risk reduction and our profit save strategies that we implemented, it's almost as if Holly was just in scalping mode, and you looking at the market is a very good reason to be in scalping mode. And then I'll give it over to Jamie. Jamie will go through the Holly recap, and And then something I was going to get to last week, finding your niche, a little something I wanted to talk about. I'm hoping to get through it, get to it tonight, guys, but I don't know, or this afternoon. We have so much content, guys. I may have to push back that another week. So moving forward, let's dive into this. Let me escape out of this so we can move into the spiders. And we kind of use the spiders like many people, most people do, as the benchmark barometer of the overall market. I know a lot of people could use the Qs, but in general, most people look at the spiders. So what are we seeing here? You know, we can draw some lines, and we have been drawing lines with the webinars that Steve and Jamie do, and Steve and I do, and all of us do. We kind of draw these support and resistance lines, and we talked about, 2 months ago how we kept knocking up against this resistance and finally poked through. That resistance becomes support. We tried to break down through it. And then finally we get a gap down through it in a major sell-off, only to come back here to this line of support, which was our breakout level, and hold firm for, tested it about 4 or 5 days. Bounced back up and ran right back into this, which is now a resistance line again. So it went from resistance to support and now is resistance. So here we are pretty much right in the middle of the zone again. Now we did see we did see a little bit of volume here to the downside, like this market has been doing for the last 7 years. It seems like the sell-offs are come with a much greater volume, which is kind of strange. The breakouts are usually on very, very thin, very, very little volume, and the sell-offs are on big volume. And once again, we kind of saw that today, a little, better than average volume. And we are going to have these in our next these lines, volume bars will be darker. But one thing that interests me today, and I wish I had my little pen. I had it up earlier, but it's kind of goes on and off on me. But anyway, one could argue that we're potentially putting in a head and shoulders here. And if you can just kind of follow my cursor here, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. You got the left shoulder, right here, nice little shoulder there, followed by kind of a little round head, a big fat round head, I should say. And now, we try to sell off, bounce right back up to the left shoulder. So we could be forming a nice little head and shoulder pattern. So that would be interesting to see. But guys, drawing a line in the sand if you're a bull, obviously this line gets violated. It's going to be very bearish for this market, I think. It's going to be a quick move down to probably this gap fill, I think, that me and Steve talked about several weeks ago, maybe even talked about it more than once. But you could see, like we talk about staircase up, elevators down, kind of like we saw right here. We could see another fast, elevator down move right there into this gap fill. So that's the area of support. If we do break this, we may stay in this this channel for a while until we get the next big news event. But we'll see. Jamie, do you have anything that you might want to add to that? What you're feeling over here on the overall market? And
well, it does look like a little head and shoulders pattern forming up there, Andy. And the lower extremes, I'm right on point with you guys on that lower extreme. It just seems to be a lot of macro effects out there on the market right now. And before today started, I don't think anybody really thought that the statistical opportunity was going to be what it was today, because here we are looking at this chart. Today's bar is a little bit larger than the previous two, but nothing like that first one. So it's anybody's game when we're in these ranges like this. A lot of people have difficulty when these ranges present themselves. But as we'll get into later, when you dispense with the voodoo and all these indicators that are right some of the time and just stick to the statistical probability theory, it seems to work out a lot better.
Exactly. I agree totally there, Jamie. And yeah, I want everybody to imprint this picture of the spiders. You know, we're right in the middle of the range after two pretty decent upside green bars. You know, came back, closed pretty much at the yesterday's lows. So we're kind of in no man's land. We're not kind of. We're dead smack in no man's land right now. So just keep that in the back of your mind when we're going over these Holly trades, because you're going to see some incredible trades put on today by our AI engine, Holly. And many of them, the ones we're going to show you, the best ones are contrarian plays. And with that said, we will dive right back into talking about Holly here, and I want to move on to what I consider to be the Holly hedge, no bias. All right, guys, this is. Let me break this down for you. This is Holly this morning, okay? And I noticed her putting on. First, it was topping formation. She was starting to fade a lot of stuff, and this is as the market was pretty close to highs. It opened up about flat on the day. First 20 minutes tried to made a high, tried to make another high. Then I noticed Holly's kind of putting on some topping formations. And on the right side, I have it broken down in time. I kind of wanted to show you this to see what I call the Holly hedge. She had about an equal number of shorts, all topping formations, which means it was kind of a contrarian play because she's fading the top of a move. Quarterback is a great little strategy that was actually alert was created by none other than Steve himself, which was in here, but he fed it to Holly, and it's been a great little performer lately. But look at that, then an equal number. This is over about an hour and a half period. So, and this is the breakdown on the right side that you see in time. Here's the time, entry time. So I did finally switch since I'm a Texan now, it took me forever, but I switched my time central. So about an hour and a half, no, I take that back, about 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes in the market, she starts putting on 5 topping formations. The market kind of started getting weak, and I was thinking, oh, great, Holly's going to get paid. And the next thing I know, bam, about 15 minutes later, she puts on an array of quarterback, which are long strategies based on strong stocks on the intraday that are pulled back. So once again, a contrarian play that you're, in essence, that you are buying a pullback, you're buying into weakness. Up here, she's shorting into strength. So another 5 or 6 minutes goes by, she puts on another 3, topping formations followed by some more quarterbacks. And I'm going, oh my gosh, Holly is hedging. I mean, obviously, she doesn't realize she's hedging. That's just the way it works out. I mean, she's just putting on each trade is independent of the others. It's all based on statistical performance and back testing, optimizing. And these are strategies that she took the night before, last night, and worked over and over and over a million times. And these are the strategies that obviously that she put to work today in the early morning. But to me, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, she is not seeing any directional bias at this point. I mean, otherwise, she is not. It's an equal number of longs and shorts.
Right, Andy, if I could just jump in here and make a quick comment. If you look at the SPY on the 5-minute intraday, and we target that area where she started loading the boat, mm-hmm. There's nothing that chart is doing that's that gives you any information that she's picking a direction. So that's an incredible thing to notice here, is that the market really wasn't doing anything too crazy when she started adding all those positions. We've just gotten into that that little down move in that 705 bar, which sticks out, but it wasn't like the world was ending, and then followed by a quick green up bar to get right back up there. And Holly's just methodically looking at statistical probability and going this, and this.
Absolutely.
It reminds me very much of many years ago when we first started piecing together the first robotic clients, myself and some of the other guys at the firm here, Brad, Dan. We all pumped literally thousands of trades through these robotic clients in a live environment on small share lots, and seeing this activity, fires that neuron in my brain. I'm like, I've seen this before. I've seen it in a live environment.
Mm-hmm.
Holly is doing it in her environment. So it's very interesting to see that even though nothing is sticking out to us humans, that the statistical probability was there, and she sure was acting on it. It's almost like one of those posters back from the early 90s, the Illusion, where it's just a bunch of dots. But if you can stare at it at just the right angle and let your mind go into a different mode, this 3D object just jumps out of the page, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's really there? And this is, the same parallel. There are tons of trades out there each and every day. Dull market, crazy market, flat market, so-so market. It's just having the tools to find it.
Absolutely.
Today is probably a classic, one of the best examples that we've seen thus far since Holly's been online of this type of action.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good plug there, Jamie, and thanks for bringing that out. And something else I want you to notice, guys. Okay, remember, she's putting on shorts and longs. Okay, it was definitely a risk-off day. Now, had Holly just put on these shorts and the market started to roll over and was coming in fast, and maybe these were pulling back too hard, maybe she didn't take these quarterback positions, and one could argue, the market would have sold off at that point instead of getting these moves back and forth, like this right here, and then and back up again. But what I want to point out, guys, I always tell you, especially in intraday trading, it's all about the entry. And if you look over here on the risk-off profit, I mean, what do you see? I mean, there's no huge winners right now because I actually snapshot this pretty quick. But look at that. You have 2 red positions out of all these trades. That has to be telling you something. She knows. I mean, she knows what she's doing. She's she's fading. She's fading. She's not chasing strength, and she's not shorting. Chasing after the weakness on the downside. These were 2 contrarian type of alerts. So very impressive. I'll pull the spiders off now and move on to the next one because, as I told you, Holly. No real bias here. Equal amount of shorts and longs, and then I move over to the next slide. And this is basically our final number today, flip 466 on risk off, which is just an incredible day in a day like today. I know days like today can be very tough, for traders, but Holly, with just doing her thing statistically and just you can see there, and that's why I put Holly in scalping mode. She had pretty much an equal number of longs and an equal number of shorts. I'll let Jamie do he does a great job of breaking down and analyzing a lot of these trades and the risk on and risk off. But I just wanted to point out that I mean, Holly was in scalping mode today. She was taking her profits. She was cutting her risk, reducing her risk, and profit saving when things look like they were going to reverse, and that's what's the most impressive thing about to me about Holly is how much she has evolved over the last 8-9 months since her inception at the beginning of the year. It's just it's just amazing. So a lot of action today, a lot of trades, but man, nice risk, nice profit, 466. So with that said, Jamie, I'm going to let you even break these down further, and he's going to point out some incredible trades that Holly had today. And Jamie, you ready to take over the function there and show your screen?
That sounds good to me.
All right.
1 second. All right, just let me know when you can see my desktop.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so yeah, man, what a crazy day for Holly. And when I say crazy, I mean good crazy. It was a pleasure to watch and engage with the AI that we call Holly today, as it always is. But today, just a lot of a lot of good stuff. So, as Andy was pointing out earlier, 61 trades. What we have, we had a total strategy count, as you can see here, 12 different strategies, 5 shorts, 7 longs, so a few more longs than shorts, and we can see the trade counts per strategy right here. So topping formation, 15 trades out of that guy today, and followed closely by the quarterback with 14. So these guys were the lion's share of the trades, but that's not to discount some of the action that was happening down here as well. So there were quite a few trades that stood out today. So here we are looking at just the winners. We can sort by winners here by the risk off column here. So let's just take a peek at C here, which, you know, those of you who have been tuning in for a number of months now, we just aren't used to seeing that many short strategies show up in the first place, and then actually seeing several short strategies fire. So right off the bat, you know, kind of before I begin here, I want to circle back around to those comments I was making, you know, when Andy was showing the trades, and when Holly was loading up, and how the market wasn't really doing anything. And a lot of people would probably agree with me that most people were doing the same thing. When you're seeing that chart, and I'll just pull it back up real quick here, you know, when we're doing this little dance and kind of jerking, right, we're going to come down, then we're going to go back up, then we're going to stair step down. Everybody's probably thinking the same thing. You know, we're not that far away from yesterday's close. We're kind of in no man's land here. The market's trying to figure out what it wants to do. So, but not Holly. Holly just starts methodically, short, short, short. Oh, well, these longs over here look good, long, long, long. And in the meantime, the market starts doing its little downward dance there. So, when we see a pattern like C, and Holly's entry price was 46.15 here. Now, some of you might have been watching Holly today when this signal was generated, and I'll just take the liberty of drawing a line like so. So you pull this up, and you're like, well, goodness, I see what's happened here recently. And Holly's calling a short right here. She's like, well, statistically speaking, it looks really good here. Now, if it was happening in this bar right here, a lot of us are going to feel the same way because we're used to seeing things in a certain capacity. We'd be thinking, well, catching a knife, let me take a look at the daily, we're kind of in no man's land, you know, maybe we bounce at the bottom here, but we're not trying to pick bottoms, you know. It's a way to get your fingers carved up pretty quickly here, no matter how good you are at it. So we get the signal in this little bar right here. Now, not this bar, but these two little guys right here, when you see this little pattern, which once again, it's a hallmark of one of these trades. Not all the time, but a lot of the times, whether it's this strategy or not, right around the entry time, we do see this little NR7 or little micro consolidation pattern. So these bars right here are kind of alleviating our anxiety. They're saying, hey, you know, yeah, it's come down quite a bit, but look what we're doing right here. We're doing this nice little sideways dance, and what does that tell us? You know, from a visual standpoint, you know, we could take Holly's stop loss recommendation, which in this case for C, recommended smart stop 47 cents. And of course the chart, we'd have to compress it a little bit, or I'd have to stretch it out here because we can see the stop loss. We can't quite see the red box, and I can't squish the chart down enough because of this, but we can see it up there. So a nice healthy stop loss on this one. And of course, actually, that's not jiving right, is it, Andy?
What do you mean it's not jiving?
Well, I'm looking at my stop loss here for C.
Oh.
Because it was a 47 cents, but that wouldn't be 47 cents up there. But in any case, we can see that from the time that this signal was generated here, we didn't really have any backlash. So if we took the trade, we had a nice, easy down push here, more of an elevator ride than a stair step. This was kind of a stair step. It was more like an escalator, kind of a cross between a stair step and an elevator there. But when we see this, we have to basically say, okay, well, Holly's saying statistical probability. We see the little consolidation here. That's going to give us the confidence to take the advice of Holly, who's operating with that statistical probability, and we get a nice little push down here. All right, so let's move right along here. EXP.
Yeah, just could you go back to C? I mean, because I think
Sure.
this, because you're making such a good point there, and I think I can't tell you how many traders, would be seeing that pullback and seeing this thing fall, like it already has, and saying, "Wow, this thing is oversold." Probably a majority. I would say, if I had to say traders, if you held a gun to their head and told them to take a position, probably about 85%, 90% of them would go long here. But Holly knows better. Holly looks at statistics and probability, and it's just amazing because I don't like chasing stuff, but it was definitely a continuation pattern. She went sideways for another five. Let's see, what is that? Five-minute bars, and then gave some nice little profits.
Right,
I'm sorry.
and just by repetition, once you start to see, oh, scary, 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 not so scary. These are the guys that are telling you it's not so scary because, from a visual standpoint, what we humans like to see, we like to see visual safety on the charts. Well, that doesn't always jive with statistical probability, right? But just giving you an example of a way to interact with the machinery, Holly in and of herself, strong point is statistical probability. Now, depending on who you talk to, that person could have chart reading skills. But if you merge the two, then you really have something special. So, once again, as soon as the signal comes out, we're like, oh, okay, that's not a double bottom. So we already know right off the bat that not a double bottom. Right here, we've got a 50% chance of winning right off the bat. So then if we are able to recognize the two little telltales right there, as, an old cartoon from the 90s would say, this means something right here. So, not to get too caught up on it because it really is pretty simplistic, but just like to refresh it and drive it home because that's the way we learn, is through repetition. All right. So now let's check out something that goes the other way today. EXP. We can see the Holly entry bar here. Let me just take the liberty to draw the good old line across here so everybody's got good reference. And boy, pretty in so many ways. Number one, the strategy, pushing through resistance. We also have at least we have a 50% chance according to the back test. Excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong column, Jamie. You need to be looking at this column over here because I was like, that doesn't look right. So let me rewind a bit. Not a double bottom. Coming into the session, 66.7% operated at 50% efficiency today. Now we're looking at pushing through resistance and 64.7% chance of success as soon as we get that signal. Now, this might look familiar right here. Holly says buy it. That 77.58 perfectly lines up with the prior high. What do we have here? We have a highly statistical probable play being backed up by a range break pattern right here. So when you see that, if you're like me, you're like, okay, even better, statistically weighted and my favorite pattern. Simple line, simple range break, very powerful. So once again, whether you're in 100 or 200 with Holly, and then you're like, okay, this happens to coincide with a perfect range break, which we've seen Jamie and Steve and Andy talk about day in, day out, boom, I'm in 400 of this one, whatever your tier limit is. And remember, once we get in it and it goes, whether that's here, here, or here, what should we be doing? Scaling out of our position. Unless we just have this burning conviction that, no, this thing's going through the roof today, which, what is that? That's a preconceived notion, and that will always get you in the end. So when we get into a good trade, we piecemeal out. Maybe we need to consult the daily to see, okay, well, we're in it, it's working, but if we get up to here, we might run into a little bit of resistance. So you scale out of your position accordingly. And this is always a good idea, whether it's a trade from an alert window, a top list window, or Holly. What are your expectations? When the thing starts going your way, you can't just sit there and hope it keeps going, because that's not the way it works. You have to have realistic expectations of how far that thing might go so that you can adjust accordingly, set those stops, never let that position go back to flat without taking some off the table. Okay, now let's do this, because we could keep going over the biggest winners on a profit or a dollar amount or a percentage basis. But there's a lot of interesting stuff here, because if we look at the exit reason column, you'll see a lot of these. Holly opted her right to go ahead and get out of the position even though the stop loss never triggered and she was in the money. So for example, DB today. That symbol should seem familiar. Deutsche Bank and their good buddy Wells Fargo have evidently been up to some tomfoolery, and it's now starting to come to the surface. Gee, heard that broken record many times before. The banks are in trouble, Andy. Oh my God, what are we going to do if the banks are in trouble? What's to be done? These banks, these poor banks. Okay, so I just double-clicked here. DB, we'll call them Deutsche Bank. Not what I really think the name should be, but if that is not a beautiful entry, I don't know what is. And ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind this is a short play from Holly today, right at 10:45 Eastern Time. About an hour.
2 cents from the high.
And Holly calls this play up. What do we do? We look over here and we're like, okay, it just barely peaked above there. We still got this. If you've been keeping up with the news whatsoever, and even if you aren't, you've probably heard it even though you don't want to hear it. What's going on at Wells Fargo? Deutsche Bank's been infested. They're talking about how, the German government might not step in to throw them that life preserver. But you know how this happens, Andy. Typically where there's one, there's many. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how this whole next generation banking scandal unfolds. But on the bright side, it should give us some nice trading opportunity. So getting back to the DB trade here, which is just simply gorgeous, everything from the entry to the price action. But once again, learning to work with the machine. So taking a trade here, whether you scale in, whether you watch it for another, whether you just put it on your watch list, but my goodness, several cents from the high, so you take a piece of this one. Then it immediately starts working. So you're like, yeah, okay, well, at this point, we've got this kind of gappy action here. We'll just have to see what happens. Maybe
would you mind going back to the daily and holding the at the high of the day, holding your cursor there so they can see? And look back at the resistance going back for 3 months there. I mean, if I see that alert go off and I look back over there and I see all that resistance and it's just
it's the submarine. It's the submarine pattern. Because it's under, and guess what? It doesn't look like it's wanting to come back up, especially after today. So in any case, we're in this. Now, as soon as this entry is made, what am I thinking? What are my eyes looking at? Oh, they're coming right down here because the low's already been put in, and we just draw that line straight across, like so. Now, we're used to seeing this pattern on the upside because that's what's been predominantly available in this market. But we take 100, we take 200 here with Holly because of the statistical probability that we know comes with this trade. And then look what happens. We meander down, we even go sideways, and then whoosh, we break that plane. And we do it with some significant volume. So if you're like me, as soon as that low gets pierced, and through whatever window that you're watching to track volume, whether it's top list, alert window, the volume's there. You don't have to guess. Sometimes the chart bars are helpful with that. Most of the times no matter what charting package you're looking at, it's always after the fact. So, an excellent second opportunity to enter here on a classic follow-up trade around pattern that we showcase all the time. Simple range break, statistically weighted. I like it a lot. Comes down here, exhibits that pattern, even better, adding to the position. Where you get out, whether it's here, 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 same old song and dance. You take your money on the way down, you manage your position accordingly, you never let it go back to a negative position if that position does happen to run against you. So, not trying to oversimplify things, but the simpler, the better. You got to have your hot window. It's feeding you the juicy information that comes from us. It's either Holly, it's an alert window, or a top list window. And then, as we're doing here, we just simply look at the footprints in the sand, as Steve likes to say so often. And that's such a good analogy, because that's what these are. And as soon as they vary, and we're coupling our plays with statistical probability, it's really an unbeatable combination. Of course, just like that professional card counter in Vegas playing blackjack, he has to hide. He can't get caught. He has to shift around. Now, he'll be successful, but the beautiful thing about what we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen, is we're doing the same thing. We're applying that statistical probability every day, day in and day out. All you have to do is learn how to interact with this technology, and you can pretty much write your own ticket as far as the types of plays that you're looking for, because of course I've seen a couple of the questions come through here. Looks like the platform's geared up for day trading. Well, it's geared up for whatever type of trading you want to do. Whether you hold it overnight or hold it for multiple days as opposed to intraday, well, that's just the second part of the equation. As we always like to point out, Holly's strong suit and Trade Ideas' strong suit in general are the entry signals. This is what I want to see. Show me when it's happening. We've taken that a step farther with Holly. These are the things that I'm showing you. They're statistically weighted to go the way that I think they are. And we couple those with what we've already identified to be tried and true patterns, and we get that double, sometimes triple confirmation. That's exactly what traders need. That's exactly what everybody wants, and that's exactly what we're giving you guys. Andy?
Yeah, I can't.
Comments about that?
No, I mean that was just I saw that develop today, and it was just a beautiful thing to watch. that Deutsche Bank, yeah, and that's the value you get from Holly. It's not always looking for breakouts like many traders are looking for. She sees things that most traders dare to look at. And then what I mean by that, I did a piece on a webinar a couple of weeks ago. It's like your eyes are not facing, your eyes are not focusing on seeing things that are pulling back and getting hit and all of a sudden jumping in and buying them. And your eyes are not seeing Deutsche Bank hitting highs right now. And if they are seeing them, more than likely you're probably thinking of buying. But Holly knows through hundreds of hours of back testing that what, your best odds are shorting this thing now, not going long, and that's such valuable information, because this stuff is back tested over and over and over again, and the numbers are right there for you. Winning percentage, profit factors. These are not numbers we're pulling out of the air. These are real back tested numbers.
Right. So just wanted to pull up one more example here of how to add or how to take a trade, because this GRFS, you can see over here, it doesn't move a whole lot, right? And if we kind of pull, let's see, there we go, GRFS, Holly, the time stop, this strategy geared around a 60-minute hold time. So here we can see on the GRFS, Holly closed the trade an hour after she entered it and made a whopping nickel. Okay, so we can see right here, this is where she got out. Here's her entry up here, a nice little toppy short again. She gets out right here because that's what she's programmed to do. Now, once again, we're the chart readers, not Ollie, but we take her most excellent entry here and then look, it just starts working. So we're like, hey, I'm happy, it's working. But what do you go to? As soon as you make that entry, doesn't matter if it's working or not, your eye should immediately gravitate, since this is a short, not a long, down to here. The bottom's been put in, so what do? We take out this very complex tool that I've developed called a horizontal line. Let me place it right across there. So you're in 100, you're in 200, whatever your starting lot is. Comes down here, does this little dance. There's no reason to get out. Yes, I see Holly's closing the trade. Good girl, Holly. You're doing your job. Very good. Take your nickel. Well, in the meantime, we're up a nickel on 200, and we know that if it comes down here, and if it cracks through with some pretty good volume, this is a time where we want to add shares to that position. And of course, if we play it properly, we get this opportunity. And of course, the beauty of the fractal pattern is the repetition of it. And once again, on any time frame. So, you know, there's a lot of alpha to be had that you cannot see in these reports. And this is the way that you extract it, by some very simple, fundamental, you know, support and resistance lines on the intraday. And of course, what do we do as well? We always like to see what our expectations are.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, here we are coming down to this little level here. I mean, if you're a day person and you're getting down to these extremes right here, or even, let's see, got to get my control back here. Okay. Even if you get down to here, I mean, you got to be thinking about taking some off the table, Andy, or if not closing out the entire position.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you do have support on the daily there.
And that you know, I want to hammer on this topic one more time, because it's amazing how many people, they get into a position, all they're concerned about is intraday. It's going, it's going, it's going. They have no idea. Okay, well, how far is it going to go? Ooh, I hope I make a point. Well, have you consulted the daily? Because you can hope all day to make a point.
Yes.
If you're running into some support, you're going to have a hard time making a point. So we make what we can. We make what is reasonable, and then we wait for the next one. All right. So
that was just that's actually another beautiful trade. And we talk about keep an eye on the daily. I love the 5-minute chart for entries, but when I'm looking for exits, I'm watching the daily. So go ahead. Looks like you have another one to talk about.
Well, and of course, look,
another beauty.
I could keep scrolling through here.
Oh yeah.
But there's just way too many. But once again, Holly gets in here and makes 2 or 5 cents, where we're not really concerned because it doesn't move a whole lot. It's just that the multiple of the 5 cents, right? On the Amex here, Holly gets out once again on a time stop. If you look at the chart and you're very comfortable and you're like, this thing just keeps going down, it takes little breathers, but it's only like a 2-cent wiggle, I think I can get more out of it, right? So instead of taking 2 cents here, there was a potential to milk 20 cents. Even if you're making 15, 16 cents, that's a lot more alpha than what you see on the blotter here, and it's totally extractable. It's not rocket science, it's just getting familiar with what to look for on these charts. All right, so I know we're burning up the time pretty good here, Andy, so I'm going to flip it back over to you because I know you have some additional things that you want to share with the crew here.
Okay, sounds good. Once again, I'm going to push that back only because I have a question from actually a couple of attendees that were asking about, hey, is this all for day trading? And one guy mentioned that, hey, do you have anything for swing trading? I have a job. So, yeah, I want to address that. And so what I'm going to do, guys, is go back to my presentation here and get it going. Bear with me. And I'll skip this because I'm going to have to use that again for next webinar because we had so much good content from Holly tonight. We would be doing her injustice if we didn't talk about it. But to answer your question, guys, yes, this software it can be used for intraday trading. It can be used for swing trading. It can be used for investing. We actually have fundamentals built into our filters and There's so many things, and we're still scratching the surface on what this software could do. And not only that, we have in our marketing meetings, we have been addressing the fact that because I've been doing a lot of sessions with people who have jobs, who can't, who do not want to trade the Momo stocks and take 20 cents and get out and and slow it down. And we are going to be spending more time addressing that and more education on it. And but to think this software is only for only for day trading and scalping and finding Momo is a big misconception. We have evening scans that you can do. I have several alerts. If you email me to Andy at trade-ideas.com that I built for my own swing trading. One of them I shared in here called Volume Doesn't Lie, that I know for a fact people email me all the time. It's making lots of money with it. So I just want to address that, because I do not want people to come in here and see us talking about taking 5, 10, 20 cents and think that's all we do. We do not. Many people use the product for that because it's incredible for that, but we're much more than just a Momo intraday scalping software. It's the power behind this engine can be used for much more than that, and I use it for much more than that. You can find some really good position trade, I like to call them, positioning yourself for a potential move, and what time frame you want to use is up to you. But to close out, guys, I wanted to just to show you this growth, and this is not bragging, and this is not showing off or anything like that. I just want to show you this is not a fluke. People are really piling in, to our product, and it's for good reason. Holly has a lot to do with it. A lot of people want their hands on this technology, and she's performing incredibly well. But it's also all our other features. And what I'm going to do right now, because I don't want you to miss out, I'm going to bring Scott in here, and he's going to tell you how you can get this at a discount tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Scott. Would you like to come in and talk about what these guys can get off on this tonight?
Yeah, thank you. Something we like to do to thank everyone who attends and signs up is offer a discount. So this is good through the end of business tomorrow. So you're going to want to use it for the weekend. It's Trading You. It's all caps, just like you see it on your screen. And you can also download a handout. Go to the handouts panel on your GoToWebinar interface. Click on the little plus sign there. It expands it, and then download the PDF. So using that code at trade-ideas.com/price on checkout, that saves you a big 15% on your first month or year of premium, which really great to use on the annual membership. The same code also gives you 10% off the first month or year of standard. So taking 10% off that $99 a month for standard is a great introductory trial, and then go ahead and upgrade to premium. Both premium and standard include the full hour of one-on-one training, and of course the data, the charting, the training. It's just the premium gives you access to that Holly Grail, our artificial intelligence investment discovery engine, as well as unlimited use of the odds maker, other great features like the price alerts and red bar ignore, green bar ignore, advanced features there. If you have any questions, email us info@trade-ideas.com. You can also follow Steve Gomez. He is known as Today Trader on Twitter. Jamie Hodge is QuantBot on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro. We post some original content there sometimes. And again, any questions about how to use the software or scheduling anything, info@trade-ideas.com. And as soon as you sign up as a member, go ahead and go to the support section, click on training, and pick your preferred time and date and trainer. You can choose Andy, Steve, Jamie, whoever's convenient for you, whoever you'd prefer for that one-on-one training session to get set up. Thanks everyone for attending. Have a great weekend. Thanks Andy. Thanks Jamie. Have a good one, guys. The recording will be up later.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a good rest of the week. Happy weekend.
Yep. Cheers, guys.